Hello and welcome to Pock and Rob. In this video I'm going to be continuing my Tracks of My Years series. I've already done the 1970s Paul McCartney top 50. I move into the next decade of his career, and that's the 1980s. His output slowed somewhat in the 80s, so it's a bit of a push to do a 50, and in fact it's a bit of a push to do a 40. So I'm actually going to do a top 30 McCartney tracks of the 1980s. As before, I am only including material that was released in the 1980s, not that was recorded and released later on things like Archive. You'll have to wait until the 2010s one for all of that magical stuff to be considered. Before I dive in, I would remind you to subscribe if you've not already done so, to hit the thumbs up to like the video and the bell to receive notifications of future content. So into my top 30, and at number 30, from the much maligned Press to Play, Only Love Remains. I personally think that this song might well be his most underrated ballad. Should have been a far bigger hit. Had it been the lead-off single of Press, then who knows, we could be looking at Press having been a much more successful album and having had another hit on his hands. But unfortunately, he chose the garbage that was Press. Only Love Remains at number 30. At number 29, from Flowers in the Dirt, We Got Married. I've seen this song maligned, particularly for Loving Life, Living Wife, or whatever it is. Living Life, Loving Wife, as being a bad rhyme. But I don't hate that rhyme, and I like the sentiment of the song. There are not enough songs that celebrate working your marriage out and not just sex or going for somebody else. We Got Married. Beautiful sentiment at number 29. At number 28, you may not even know this McCartney song, On the Wings of a Nightingale. Don't know it? He wrote it for the Everly Brothers, and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It completely captures the essence of the Everly Brothers. It's wonderfully perfect for them. It sounds great. I would love to hear a good demo of this, and that's why I still want a 1984 to 86 archive box or something like that. That's going to include, give my regards to Broad Street, all the material from 1984, some of which still remains unreleased, and all the Press to Play stuff, perhaps properly remixed, not just remastered, remixed, because there's better music in there than that production on that record allows out. Anyway, On the Wings of a Nightingale, number 28. And number 27, a cover. It's from the Chobber B CCCP album. It's the best thing on it. Don't get around much anymore. A song that I've always liked, but I think his version of it is probably my favourite version of Don't Get Around Much Anymore. And I like the version that's in When Harry Met Sally from Harry Connick Jr. Number 27, Don't Get Around Much Anymore. Number 26, the opening of side 2 from Flowers in the Dirt, Figure of 8. It's a very simple song, but it's great fun. I think the live version on Tripping the Live Fantastic is ever so slightly better, and possibly the remixed single version is slightly better. But I think the song, I just enjoy listening to it. Number 26. Number 25, opening track of Press to Play, Stranglehold. Another better choice of single than Press was. It was released as a single in the US. I don't believe it did much. It might have done better over here. Stranglehold's problem is it gives you a false impression of what Press as an album is going to be like. But it's a good song. Stranglehold at number 25. And sticking with Press to Play for number 24, Footprints. Footprints may well lay claim to be his second most underrated ballad. Beautiful story song, co-written with Eric Stewart, that just came out of Eric Stewart arriving at Hog Hill Mill, having walked through the snow into the studio and saying to Paul, "It's beautiful outside." And Paul going, "Ooh." And they crafted this beautiful song about an old man missing his spouse. I think it's a bereavement song. It's gorgeous. Footprints. Number 24. Footprints from Press to Play. At 23, it's a B-side. Flying to My Home, from the B-side of My Brave Face. This should have been on Flowers in the Dirt. I think I said that in my Fresher Flowers video. that this would have closed Flowers in the Dirt for me. It's odd sounding, it's bizarre, but it's... The best thing I can say is it's like Press to Play album, but really good. Flying to My Home at number 23. At number 22, Check My Machine. This is the B-side to Waterfalls. Waterfalls is fine, it's just a bit boring, but the B-side, Check My Machine, had it been on McCartney 2, I think it would have been the best track on the whole record. Check My Machine is just bonkers. It opens with that Morning George, hi Larry, Morning George, and it literally was him checking out his brand new 4-track recorder that he was making these wacky demos that became McCartney 2 on. Check My Machine, my number 22. At number 21, another B-side. It's from Take It Away, B-side. It is I'll Give You a Ring. This is a song that he'd had knocking around. It's going to come out very soon on the One Hand Clapping set that's being released in a couple of weeks' time. So Paul had this song all the way back to 1974. I think they may have tried to record it a few times. Eventually, it got shipped in on as a B-side on the Tug of War sessions. And I really like I'll Give You a Ring. It's a great play on words song. My number 21. Number 20, we have an A-side. It's from the Phil Ramone sessions where they started well and went downhill. This is practically unknown in the States because it was not on All the Best, despite the fact they could have put it on there. It's his last top 10 single in the UK until 4 or 5 seconds. It is, of course, Once Upon a Long Ago. Recorded and written for... initially for The Princess Bride, but Rob Reiner thought it was too sentimental. Paul stuck it on All the Best as the lead single from their top 10 hit, and it's a great song. It was the last real chart relevance he had until he collaborated with Kanye and Rihanna. Once Upon a Long Ago at number 20. Number 19, from Flowers in the Dirt, That Day Is Done. I have waxed lyrical about this song in multiple videos. The Flowers in the Dirt video, the Fresher Flowers video, and the Elvis Costello song ranking video, because it's a co-write with Elvis. And it's a great song. It reminds me of a New Orleans funeral. And That Day Is Done, number 19. And number 18. Now I said Check My Machine would be my favourite from McCartney 2. And yet at number 18, I've put Coming Up. However, I've put Coming Up, the live version. This was from Wings' last tour. It's on the Wings' Last Flight bootleg. And it's Paul McCartney and Wings. It was number 1 in the States because they flipped the record, because it was the B-side to the original Coming Up. And I think it is far better. It's got an additional verse. The punch and the attack is so much better than the modified, electronified version of Coming Up on the record. Coming Up is the best track on McCartney 2, but Coming Up live is far better. Number 17, from Tug of War, one of the most emotive songs I think he's ever recorded. Here Today, his tribute to John. And as I've said before, I can imagine him and George Martin crying buckets when they recorded this, because it's Paul letting his guard down and being his natural self and saying, I miss you, my man. And it's nice to know that they had made amends by the time that John was murdered, because I think we would have got a reconciliation and possibly even some writing together again, because they would have got nostalgic. But Here Today, beautiful song. Number 16, also from Tug of War, Take It Away. Take It Away used to be my favourite on the album. That has most definitely changed, but it's still a 4.5, 5-star song. Absolutely fantastic Take Away. Great choice of second single. Record buying public in the UK only got it to about number 17 because we're idiots. The US, they at least got it into the top 10. Take It Away at number 16. At number 15, another contender for one of Paul's most underrated ballads. It's Through Our Love from the Pipes of Peace album. Now, Pipes of Peace is a really mid album, and it's bookended by 2 phenomenal tracks. They're The end of the album is Through Our Love. It just soars, and it's the kind of ballad that people knock McCartney for, but it's effortlessly brilliant. They shouldn't knock him for writing songs as good as Through Our Love. Number 15. Number 14, beautiful acoustic ballad from Flowers in the Dirt, Distractions. There was a time I didn't like it. I thought it slowed down the record. What a turnaround over time to hear Distractions as being one of the finest things that he did in the whole of the 80s. Distractions is beautiful. Number 13, from Tug of War, Ballroom Dancing. And you can put either version in here, either the one from Tug of War or the one from Give My Regards. Both are great. Both are worthy because they have different lyrics. And both would have been an absolutely banging Wings song. And we know that Wings started to record this. Denny's on it. This would have been a Wings hit. Well, I say a hit. There probably would have been other hits, but it would have been an absolutely phenomenal Wings song. Number 12, sticking with the Tug of War album, For the Pound Is Sinking, a stitch together that of the kind that Paul has been doing all of his career. 3 songs brought together to turn into one crazy, fantastic song that, as I've said before, you couldn't write now because half of these currencies no longer exist. But The Pound Is Sinking, top-notch stuff. Number 12. Number 11, from Flowers in the Dirt and the second single, reached number 18, This One. This one I since discovered was, I think, recorded originally with Phil Ramone and shelved. I could be wrong, but the version that's on Flowers in the Dirt is absolutely fantastic. I could live without the second half of the verse, you know, this swan is gliding above the ocean, the god is riding on his back. I don't like the pun, it gets on my wick a little bit, but the rest of the song, it's one of his brilliant, brilliant, effortless pop singles. This one at number 11. At number 10, the opening track of Tug of War and its title track. There was a time I didn't like this track because I loved Take It Away so much. And I didn't like the fact that they segued into each other because I thought, oh, when I make my compilation cassettes, I can't get a clean chopping start for Take It Away. I no longer care. I actually feel a little bit the other way around, that I'd rather hear just Tug of War fade properly. And so maybe one day I will look out and purchase the Tug of War single version that will just end it properly. And also maybe get the Take Away one as well, so I can get that as well. Tug of War, number 10. Number 9, bonkers experimental McCartney. That's the bizarrest ever choice of a single. I mean, I know I had a go at Press being a bad choice of single, but I know why. I know why it was released. It's theoretically commercial. This isn't. Pretty Little Head from Press to Play, the best track on that maligned album. Co-write with Eric Stewart, and it's just bonkers. I did detest it. And there's a lot of theme on that. That's songs that I used to really dislike when I was 13, 14 and getting into McCartney have become songs that I adore now that I'm an older man and can listen to what he was trying to do. Pretty Little Head is just insane. It's fantastic though. And it's very few people's favourite track off Press to Play, but it is mine. Number 8. This should have been a number 1 single. I've got a feeling it was kept off the top slot by something like Two Tribes. Vote down for that. No More Lonely Nights from Give My Regards to Broad Street. It's a song I like that much that I'm doing it live at my 50th birthday next month. The band that I'm playing with, we're going to be playing No More Lonely Nights. I will be bass playing and singing it, but not in his key because I cannot ring that high. Number 7, from Flowers in the Dirt, a perfect song. I would argue that every single song, pretty much in this top 10 actually, is perfect. But everything above here is perfect. It's Put It There. His tribute to his father. As a dad now, this song hits me in the feels that little bit more than it used to. But it's just immaculate writing. I can't say any more than that. You need to hear Put It There to hear how good the song really is. He's never lost it, you know. Even during the doldrums of the 80s, things like Put It There, that he just brought out in '89, prove he never ever lost it. And number 6 from Tug of War, Wanderlust. It's perfect. It harks back to the boat that they lived on while they were recording London Town in the Virgin Islands. And the brilliance of one melody for verse 1, a completely different melody for verse 2, and then for verse 3, to put them over the top of each other and do that counterpoint is just... it's musical brilliance. Wanderlust at number 6. Number 5, a song that he has not recorded, but he did play the bass on it. It's Veronica. Is it a cheat to include that in my McCartney list? Well, I say no. I mean, it's predominantly an Elvis song. And I'm cheating in... Paul helped with it. He played the bass on it. But it's a perfect song. I think Veronica is terrific. It's more Elvis than it is Paul. But when's that stop me? Veronica at number 5. Number 4, Pipes of Peace. His best number 1 hit single. And I include all the number 1 hit singles on the US side of things. Because Pipes of Peace is mint. Absolutely fantastic. And it's galling in a way that it wasn't released as a single in the US. They released So Bad instead. Because I think Pipes of Peace would have done pretty well over there as well, coming off the back of Say, Say, Say. Because it's a more commercial song than So Bad. Pipes of Peace, absolutely fantastic. Number 3, Tug of War's Somebody Who Cares. My favourite track off Tug of War. And I've said before that I think this is a song for our time. Now that we are so much more aware of mental health, we need to hear songs like Somebody Who Cares more often. You're not alone. And somebody's taken the wheels off your car and you had somewhere to go. That's actually a really, really strong metaphor. And Somebody Who Cares needs to be heard. Number 3. Number 2, it's a B-side. It's an Elvis Costello co-write. It's Back on My Feet. The B-side to Once Upon a Long Ago. I adore Back on My Feet. I know it's mostly Paul in the same way as Veronica is mostly Elvis, but it's just so layered and intense, both musically and lyrically. It's one of his best lyrics ever. And I can't get enough of Back on My Feet. It's the reason why I did not purchase the Flowers in the Dirt archive edition, because I've got the McCartney collection from 1993 and it has Back on My Feet as a bonus track. Back on My Feet at number 2, which leaves at number 1 the first McCartney single that I bought, My Brave Face. Again, it's a co-write with Elvis Costello. It has so many Beatles allusions in it. It reached number 18 and that pees me off because it's... Paul thought he was writing and releasing a number 1 hit single. And I understand why. I guess music had just moved on, and particularly in 1989 when we had absolute crud like Jive Bunny littering the charts. Oh, My Brave Face, the best number 1 that wasn't. And it only got to number 18. This should have been so much bigger hit. It's the best track from me of Flowers in the Dirt, and it's the best track from the whole of the 80s of Paul. It ended the decade where he'd had some troubles on a massive high. So that concludes my top 30 1980s tracks of my years for Paul McCartney. Please let me know in the comments below what songs you might have included, what songs you might have dropped from mine. I think my top 30 is a blooming good playlist. I'll be back with another video soon. I'd remind you before I go to subscribe, hit the bell, click the thumbs up, all of that stuff. Share the channel with other people. But until next time, thanks for watching.